Sky Royal, originally from New Orleans and now a resident of Northern Virginia and a recent graduate from Paul Mitchell School in Tysons, is slated to be a hairdresser in Lash Tech at Jackson Harlow Salon, also in Northern Virginia. Comes to us today to talk about what rising stylists want and what they think about the future and what they want from salon owners. Welcome back to the Hairdresser Strong Show. My name is Robert Hughes and I'm your host. Today I'm here with Sky Royal. How are you doing today, Sky?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. So if anybody didn't watch your last episode, would you give us like a 2-minute high level little quick intro to who you are and why you got involved in hair?
Yes, yes. So again, my name is Sky Royal. I'm a former student of Paul Mitchell School in Tysons. I have always wanted to do hair. Have always loved making people feel beautiful, feel good. I didn't quite know when I would do hair. I just knew I would end up doing it. I started year 2022. So And just a little bit about me is I enjoy making people feel great. I enjoy being around people, meeting new faces, new personalities, which is a lot of why I got into this field. I love meeting new people. I feel like because that's what life is all about. So, and we spoke a little bit on, what I want out of salons, what to look for when you are wanting to find a salon home, and all those little fun beginning things.
Yeah, and that was a great conversation. If you didn't listen, definitely go back and check it out. It's definitely you definitely want to listen up, especially if you have any interest in knowing about Gen Z and rising stylists. I think it's very important that you check that out. Now, today is going to be an addition, like we're adding to that conversation, and we're not just hearing about what you want, but we're also here. Are you Sky want? But we're also going to find out what I asked a little other piece of background about Sky. I met her when I was a guest speaker when I went to go visit Paul Mitchell, and I liked how she responded, and I liked kind of the answers. So I thought it'd be a great opportunity to hear a different perspective on this channel on this topic of what does Gen Z want? What do rising stylists want and what are their goals? So I gave you a list of questions and I asked you to go around and ask people for. So why don't we just dive right in? The first question that I have here is what are some of yours and others' worries about the future when thinking about your career in hairdressing?
Um, so a lot of worries from girls was, obviously the main thing, having a consistent clientele, because at the end of the day, that's the only way we're getting paid. So having consistent clientele was very important. Some girls said that they really worried about, I guess, not being able to be as creative as they would like. Because, sometimes going back to what we were talking about earlier, if you work in kind of, a one type of environment, it's going to be really hard for you to maybe, I don't know, do vivids or do edgy haircuts, or stuff like that. So some girls worried that they wouldn't be able to really express their creativity. Some girls worried that they would end up being stuck in salons, not being able to branch out because sometimes salon owners aren't really too fond of letting their stylists go. So I would say those are the top ones. Branching out was one. Being able to show their creativity was another, and a consistent clientele basis is definitely some worries that we have.
Tell me a little bit about branching out. You mean like leaving the salon, or do you mean
Leaving
like
the salon, yes, after you've been there for, a certain period of time, I mean, some people want to be an employee, some people want to be the employer. And so it's like you gotta know when it's time to cross that line. If you dream of one day being an employer, okay, well, maybe spending over 5 years in a salon isn't, my best bet. Maybe I need to start, working on an independent game plan and figuring out, okay, like when am I trying to branch out? How long do I want to stay in this salon before I feel like it's time for me to go and be independent?
So do you think that the worry is, how am I going to go from being an employee to being on my own and like that process? Or is it about the salon owner? Like, what is the worry about the salon owner not allowing you to branch out? Because like ultimately you just leave, right? I mean, you just go and you're
Yeah,
like, I'm going to go.
I
So
would say just this generation, we're so caught up and I'm guilty of it myself as well. We're so caught up into sometimes how people feel and what people are gonna think, when we do, etc. So I feel like that might worry some of the girls, like, okay, I don't want my boss to be
I
mad or be upset, or I don't want them to not like me anymore. And it's just like, well,
totally.
at the end of the day, if they stop liking you because you decided to go and be independent, then that's kind of a personal problem,
So
you
there's a
know?
little bit maybe a little bit anxiety about, oh, I'm gonna start off at a salon, but I want to be in a booth rental eventually, or I want to own my own salon,
Yeah,
and I don't know how I'm already, before I've even built my clientele or I've gained my experience, I'm already thinking about that friction that it's gonna cause when I have to leave. It's definitely gonna be friction. I mean,
it
100%,
is.
unless the salon owner says, hey, uh you can work for me for 2 years or 3 years and then go and do your own thing and I'll help you. Which I know some salon owners who will say that. And
That's, oh my
they'll
goodness.
try to get, they're gonna try to make as much money off of you in the 3 years or whatever you agree on as possible. And then but they'll also be educating you on the business side of things, for example. And they
Yeah.
might gracefully let you go. The big issue is the clientele. But nowadays with social media and stuff, it's not that hard to be in contact with your customers. Um,
No. I mean,
outside of the
even me
salon.
as a student, I have some Facebook, some Instagram pages, personally for my clients because they're like, hey, when you graduate, I still want to come to you.
Right.
So I've
Right.
made that my mission to get contact information.
Gotcha. So the concern about building a clientele, that I think that, in my opinion, that should be either the first or second issue. In my opinion, and like, I'm thinking about when I was coming up, I was more concerned about being good. Like I wanted to
Mhm.
be the best, and
Yes.
I didn't necessarily want to be like sweeping hair and shampooing and cleaning bathrooms until I was the best. But I once I got on the floor, I wanted classes all the time, like every week or whatever I could get. I was so hungry. I just wanted to be the best. I wasn't really worried about a clientele because uh, I was making hardly anything, but I could pay my bills, and I was young enough to where I didn't have any kids, I didn't have any worries. So it seems like there's some consistency there
Yeah.
between like my generation and your in this new generation is like, yeah, the worries are the same. Like and also the creativity side of things, that makes sense because I remember hitting a point where I'm like, I don't want to do long layers
Oh my
and uh,
goodness. Yes.
and root touch ups my whole life,
Yes.
bobs and
Yes.
root touches.
No.
So, yeah, but what I learned is that the best way to make money is to have a clientele that I mean, most likely the work isn't going to be super exciting on a regular basis. So what I decided to do is, instead of leaving my salon and finding a salon that all I do is really cool cuts or something like that, I decided that I would go out and hunt for models on a regular basis and bring them in and do photo shoots. And really, I was in charge of my own creativity because the salon had enough of a brand and a driver that they could build my clientele up as long as I was good enough to be consistent for my customer. And so like I didn't want to like say, you kind of like doo doo on that, because I was like, I still want the money. So like I made the decision to have like a bread and butter clientele that is not necessarily the work that I get excited about doing. but I found my stuff elsewhere. Now, some people want that consistently every day. That their life. They're making super creative vivids and haircut, and there are places like that.
That's
So
me.
yeah, nice. Is the salon that
I
you're
love
going?
vivids.
Is the salon you're going to? Do they do a lot of that?
We have a girl there that does vivids. It's not like a vivid based salon, but there it is something that happens frequently as a service. So that I am excited for. But it's
Cool.
so crazy you said it like that because if I could do vivids every day, I would. Trust me, I would. But
Nice.
we don't always get what we want.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. Next question. What are you and others excited about for the future?
Um, so a little bit that they said was more discoveries, get to make more discoveries. A lot of girls honestly just said, just being able to do what they love to do, just being able to wake up every day, do hair. One girl in particular said that she is really excited to do hair because she wants to be a travel stylist. She wants to travel all over the world and do hair. People can book her from anywhere. So they were very direct and straightforward with that. Just being able to be creative and being able to just have like a free mind on what they want to do was the main answer.
Cool. And how about another conversation, that question that comes up, and honestly, I don't think it comes up enough, and I think that it's going to be coming up more and more. Is especially as Gen Z comes into, you all are mobile native, generation. Like, you grew up with a smartphone. Most of the
Most,
generation. Yeah, it's
yeah.
like that's the big defining factor, is having a smartphone when you grow up. I'm a millennial, and the big defining factor of a millennial is that you grew up with a computer and communicating to your friends over the internet. Like, I was using AOL Instant Messenger, and I came up during like Facebook and stuff like that. So it was more about like social media and social communication interaction through the internet. But with you, your generation, it's mostly about the smartphone and the tablets, and your world is kind of like, but you grew up with it. So what technology do you and others currently use that you feel like is beneficial for your career? And that could mean like mental health stuff too.
Um, I couldn't honestly think of anything. I would say right now, what is helping me, with keeping everything organized is my iPad.
Okay.
So that's one of the things that, the girl said was the technology that we use is obviously, like our iPads and our Apple Pencils. And so, and that's also something that they said that they would like to see brought into salons. Is maybe like instead of checking out at the front desk, there's ways that you can check out now at the chair. You can check out on the iPad, stuff like that, may make things a lot easier and help the salon run smoother. Like, hey, we don't have to wait for the receptionist to come up there for you to pay. You can pay right here on my iPad, with this system or whatever we have. So I feel like iPads really help because it keeps everything organized, at least for me. Like, I have my apps, my skill cards, I have my clients' information and
What
their formula,
apps do you use?
everything Paul Mitchell related, honestly. And I have a calendar organizer on my app. I have a physical hard copy, planner, but I also have one on my iPad because I feel like I'm always on it, so it helps with me keeping things organized. And then the Paul Mitchell apps, honestly, like they help so much. I struggled a lot with layers. But watching those videos, I feel like we need more applications with step-by-step tutorials and videos, that you don't have to pay for. Because it's like, why do we have to subscribe to learn? Why do we have to pay every time to learn? It's like everybody wants you to subscribe for knowledge. And it's just like, do you want the money or are you trying to help me become better? So it's kind of like a thin line between that. Everybody wants a subscription now. So I feel like more applications with more step by step help would be very beneficial.
You know what? I feel like we can have a whole conversation on this, but
We can go for hours about that.
yeah, because like I feel like there's a lot of things out there that are really helpful, and I feel like the problem with free education is because they're not getting paid. Like, who's this that's creating the education? Now, if like Paul Mitchell is creating free education, then you can feel like confident that the Paul Mitchell name is behind it. But if you know Jane Joe is Oops. If Jane Joe is making classes, is making step-by-step videos and they're free and you watch them, but Jane Joe sucks and is teaching you, so a fun fact about me, like super nerdy, I played golf for high school on my high school team. However, we were the worst in the league and all you had to do is show up to get on the team. So but I just like the idea of it because like my grandfather played golf and I thought it was cool. And so he bought me, or someone bought me a set of clubs. Anyway, so I'm showing my instructor how I do my swing, and like in golf, like you got to have the perfect swing, the perfect everything needs to be perfect. It's like considered one of the hardest sports to master in the world because it literally everything has to be perfect. The moisture in the air, all that crazy stuff that I don't understand. So
the wind is ridiculous.
Yeah, so the instructor looks at me and goes, and I'm like hitting it kind of straight, kind of, and he's like, "It looks like you've perfected an imperfect swing." I figured out how to hit the ball relatively straight by making adjustments all on my own that I learned from multiple people throughout my time up to then. But then when I had someone who was specifically telling me, the right and wrong way or the reasons why I should make these adjustments, and then all of a sudden I could hit the ball so much farther than I ever could. And it wasn't as straight, but eventually it got straighter. And so like I realized that, in hair, you don't want to like necessarily take education just from anybody because they could be teaching you habits that will be very hard to break in the future if you ever get to the point where you're getting good education, or you say you go to somebody you've always wanted to go to and you've been doing this something that you learned for a while and they're telling you like you should not do that. And that creates a friction for the person. Anyway, that's kind of like how but that doesn't mean that there can't be free education. I'm just saying that I feel like that opens up we could have a whole nother episode on this topic.
Okay, maybe we should one day.
Okay, yeah, because I'd be curious to talk through what that would look like from your perspective. Okay, so we talked about technology. Last question before we wrap it up. What do you and others want from a salon, and how long do you think that on average do you think people will stay at the salon that they first start working out of school?
So there was only one answer that honestly came about as far as what the girls want, and that was just extended education. Extended education is really important to me and a lot of the other girls here because, obviously once you're out of school, there's still just so much to learn. And I mean, somebody that works here, he's been working here for a while and he's been doing hair for over 20 years, and prime example, he told me that he tried to like duck and dodge doing balayages. He did not want to do balayages. He hated it. He said, I had to end up paying a former student of mine to teach me how to do it. And it's just like, that's just a prime example. And no matter how long you've been doing something, you're going to always need to further your education. You're going to always need to add something to the list, another, skill or something, because this world is evolving. This industry is forever evolving. We might wake up tomorrow and there's a new trend on how to do this, and now we have to learn that, So extended education was really important, and the time frame was different for different girls because I feel like it's all in the confidence and what they feel like they're confident in. For me, I said 3 years. 3 years, 3 to 4 years max. Because about time I'm 30, I want to be a salon owner. And I'm going to be 25 come January. So I'm giving myself literally 5 years to be independent, be on my own, and have my own salon. So some girls was like, 3 to 4. Some girls were like 5 to 6. And again, that's all based off of just, I feel, the confidence that they have in themselves, because if you're really confident in yourself, you're not going to want to stay up under somebody else's wing for that long. Once I feel like I've learned what I've learned from this particular person, then it's time for me to go learn somewhere else now. I've been here long enough to where I feel like now it's time for me to maybe branch out.
So in general, you would say that you and your cohorts at school, the other rising stylists, in general, they do not think of finding the perfect salon to stay there for their career. That's like no one really said that. They're looking,
A
it's a
lot of girls
stepping
want to be
stone.
independent. A
A
lot of
lot,
these girls
okay,
want to be in, commercial real estate. A lot of these girls want to have their own salons, their own hair care lines, hair businesses, and that's why I like the environment that I'm in and the girls that I'm around, because all of us, the majority, want to be self-employed, self-efficient. We want to be basically entrepreneurs. We don't want to spend the rest of our life behind a chair, So
gotcha. Cool, awesome. Well, thank you so much. This was super powerful and super helpful, and I'm sure a lot of people are gonna
thank
get a lot of
you.
value out of this. Absolutely, you were a great guest, and I'm really happy to have you. So, thanks for the
Thank
time.
you. Thank you. You have a blessed day.
Okay, you too. All right, take care.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.